Chương trình này được bảo trợ bởi
Family Joy, tổ ấm y tế của mọi gia đình, 714 898 0765.
Hi, welcome back to the OC Health and Education Show on Little Saigon TV. I'm your host, Julie Yip. Just before the commercial break, we had an opportunity to learn more about what it takes to be a great leader. And one of the important things that I remember them keep on saying is that you need to make sure you give your employees and the people that you work with room to grow. Thưa quý vị khán giả của Little Saigon TV, Julie hân hạnh hôm nay mời được hai người quý khách, đó là chị Thiện Tâm, đó là chị Tammy, Tran and Ed Robinson. Hôm nay chúng tôi có thời gian nói chuyện với cái công việc làm sao quan trọng nhất là mình có cái cơ hội để cho mình tạo được cái relationship ở công việc làm, để cho mình thấy cho mỗi nhân viên của mình có sức mạnh, sức khỏe và có thời gian để cho tiến bộ, để cho giúp cho trước nhất giúp cho cái tiệm, với sau đó giúp cho cộng đồng của mình. Thank you so much for being here on the show. I'm so excited every time I talk to any guest. I feel like a stronger connection to get to know you as normal humans, because so many times in the community we're just so busy working. And one thing I love about watching you guys both work together, and I get to watch, Tammy when her babies were young, and I would always be almost envious of her that when she goes to work, she gets to bring her baby. And Ed, can you tell me, did you allow that? Did she sneak her kids to work? How did that happen?
Well, as I said earlier, Julie, we have very good communications, open lines of communication. The other thing I think about when I think
was she always honest with you, though?
Always. I've never questioned the integrity or the authenticity of Tammy.
Awesome.
But I think the other thing too is we spend an inordinate amount of time on our jobs, away from our families. And I believe that when you try to separate family from work, then you get in trouble. Hence the work-life balance type of thing. So Tammy would tell me sometimes if there was a babysitting need or whatever, boom, it's okay. And the reason why it was okay, because my wife used to be a registered nurse. We raised 4 children, and there were times where her boss wasn't as cooperative. It wasn't really that difficult. And we had a good support structure, myself, my mother-in-law, my mom, and others to help. But there was times where my wife needed some time off, and she just couldn't break away because of her job. And I used to always say when I was a younger guy, if I ever go into leadership, I want to be able to shift the paradigm. And so Tammy wasn't the first one, but there were others who've come along, and you just tried to work with them. And I figured that if I'm working with her holistically, her and her children, her husband, her family, then it reciprocates. And so that's it's
and
really,
it looks like it is reciprocated tenfold and more.
It's really a no-brainer, Julie. This is one of the commercials say this is not difficult. This is not hard stuff.
But it is kind of novel. And I think you are breaking the molds.
We're lucky. Yeah. We are, because not everybody has that privilege of being able to be okay and have that work-life balance. I know there are many people that are in my life that don't have the same kind of flexibility at work, and
Did work feel like work when you worked at Southern California with Ed?
No, and I think that's by choice. I think I know I'm very privileged, right, to be able to choose the kind of work I do that gives meaning to my life, right? Whether I worked in government and now at the Southern California Edison, I get to work on behalf of the community. And so I didn't literally take my kids to the office every day. So that's not what. That's not.
Sometimes when I run into you.
But my kids were integrated, right? Because the work I do is community oriented. So when we sponsor an event, or when we have a STEM day or things like that we sponsor it as a company, then my kids come along, because that's the way I can make it work, right? And I'm lucky. I know how lucky I am. I know that not every mom, not every person is able to do that, right? There's a lot of people in the service industry, especially when we saw during this pandemic, there's people who don't have those options, right? And so I feel very grateful, and that's why I speak up about a lot of things I care about. But back to Ed, I think it's so important to make sure, if you can, and I know not everybody can, is be very honest about what you need as an employee. At the same time, as an employee, you have to make sure you deliver. You have to make sure that you meet expectations, that you're clear about getting the work done and things like that. And so I feel like I had that kind of support in Ed Robinson, and in the leader that I have now at Southern California Edison. Is you have to be very upfront. You have to kind of know about what you want out of the workplace. Như Thiện Tâm nói là rất là may mắn được làm cho ông Lucaria, rồi sau này làm cho Southern California Edison trong một cái vai trò mà giúp được cộng đồng. Cho nên cái môi trường, cái hoàn cảnh của Thiện Tâm biết là không phải là ai cũng được như vậy. Vậy ai cũng được đem con đi theo khi mà đi làm giúp đỡ cộng đồng. Cho nên cái đó là một cái điều rất là may mắn mà Thiện Tâm rất là quý, và mình cũng muốn làm sao mình đấu tranh cho những người khác được những cái quyền như vậy. Tại vì trong xã hội thì không phải ai cũng được cái hoàn cảnh như vậy. Mình biết rõ là cái đó là cái thực tế. Nhưng cái quan trọng nhất là cái gì mình cần ở trong đời sống của mình phải lên tiếng, mình phải đòi hỏi, tại cái đó là cái quyền của mình. Và như nãy Ed Robinson nói là mình đi làm, mình không phải là mình đi làm, không phải là mình là cái máy. Mình đi làm, mình có những cái điều mình lo, những cái điều mình thấy quan trọng, thì cái đó là cái mà mình phải làm sao mình tìm cách để mình đem cái đó trong cái công việc của mình làm hàng ngày.
Yeah. You know, one thing I really love about what you said, Ed, is that you can't really separate home and work. And I think that what Tammy is presenting with us too, is that she was able to incorporate all that together. So I'm so glad that you have such a very, first of all, a trusting relationship and a very mutually respected relationship. Thưa quý vị khán giả, hôm nay Julie có thời gian nói chuyện với Ed Robinson là life coach, với chị Tammy Tran, nói chuyện về quan trọng tại sao mình phải có cái câu hỏi để cho nói chuyện với người sếp của mình có cái tự tin về cái hiểu biết nhau thì mới được nói thẳng để cho mình được giúp nhau. Julie đặt một cái câu hỏi cho chị Thiện Tâm á, là làm sao mà chị Thiện Tâm có được đem con đi trong cái sở việc làm. Tại Julie nhớ đó là trước khi Julie có thời gian gặp Tammy, Julie chỉ nhìn xa thôi, mà mỗi lần Julie thấy sao cái cô phụ nữ đây làm rất việc quan trọng, về làm rất nhiều việc trong cộng đồng của mình, mà được đem con tới cái sở làm. Rồi Julie thấy mình hơi ghen, mình thấy muốn tại sao mình không được đem con tới đi cộng sở làm. Và Julie thấy đó là hôm nay Julie hiểu biết là tại anh Ed Robinson nói là cái người sếp mà quan tâm cho nhân viên á, là phải hiểu, thấy là mình phải không có được tách rời cái công việc ở nhà với công việc làm. Chừng nào cái người sếp nào mà hiểu cái vấn đề của cái người nhân viên ở nhà, thì chừng nào luôn chừng nào mình cần giúp được thì mình phải nên giúp, mình hiểu được thì mình phải hiểu. Ed Robinson chia sẻ đó là vợ của Ed là người y tá, mà hồi xưa Ed có con, chừng nào có cái khó khăn về babysitting, cái người sếp không có hiểu, không có giúp được, thì Ed nói đó là hứa là chừng nào Ed thành cái người boss, người cái sếp, là sẽ phải là hiểu biết về mỗi nhân viên, để cho vừa mình thấy mình giúp nhân viên được thì nhân viên mới làm công việc làm tốt hơn trong cái sở làm. And you know, I'm trying my best to again to tell them and remind them what is an important part for us to make sure that in order to be a good boss is to make sure you take the time to know your employees, not just what they do at work, but what it is that at home, because sometimes it can affect their performance.
Absolutely.
I'm so happy to see that there are such thing as a healthy work-life relationship. I want to know, and I want to make sure I don't forget, but I want to know about your life coach aspect of it. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because I don't want to miss, because I know there's relationship, but how it goes together.
Yes. So I started a business a few years ago. It's called Sam Ray Life Clarity Coach. And the name Sam Ray is a hybrid of my late sister Samantha, who passed away in 2016 at the age of 51, and my brother Ray, who passed away at the age of 48 in 2018. So it's kind of a legacy of sorts. And then over my life, I feel like I've always been doing coaching, but I never really, looked at it that way. There's an old saying that a coach can change the outcome of a game. A sports coach can change the outcome of a game, but a great coach can change someone's life. And I've always wanted to do the latter. So from working at Southern California Edison for 33 years, serving as a pastor for 11 years, and just walking and talking with folks and seeing the way my mom and the way she interacted and connected with a lot of folks. So I've been surrounded by great coaches. So at Sam Ray Life Clarity Coach, what I do is I look at it as coming alongside someone. So sometimes people get coaching and they get counseling and therapy mixed up. Coaching, you're telling someone what to do. Therapy, you're pulling up maybe a past trauma from the past. Whereas coaching, you're coming alongside and projecting towards the future. And so my main goal is, how do I help folks, whether it's transitional coaching, whether it's personal life coaching, whether it's executive coaching, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, after the commercial break, we'll definitely learn more about Sam Ray Life Clarity Coach. Thưa quý vị khán giả của Little Saigon TV, hôm nay Julie có thời gian nói chuyện với Ed Robinson, với chị Tammy Tran. Sau phần quảng cáo, chúng tôi sẽ tiếp tục nói thêm về Sam Ray Life Clarity Coach để tiện tìm hiểu thêm về chương trình này.